is Amanda Bolchapin. I work at the Lane Community Technology Center in Hamilton, Ohio. Welcome to part 2 of our Snow Days series. Last time I showed you how to make a layered laser cut holiday ornament that was decorated with snowflakes. Today, I'm going to walk you through the process of designing a 3D printed planter or vase in the shape of a cute little snowman. Next time, I'll show you how to add light up eyes to the snowman, so stay tuned. Now the first thing we're going to do is open up TinkerCAD. TinkerCAD is free web-based software that lets you create and edit 3D designs. For now, just go to tinkercad.com and create an account. To create an account, you're going to click this Join Now button, and then you're going to create a personal account. Click this button right here. Make sure to remember your sign-in information, so email addresses, passwords, write it down, have that saved for next time, okay? And then next time you sign in, you're actually going to click this sign in button and use that information to sign in. Now, because I already have an account, I'm going to click this sign in button. Then I'm going to click email or username, and I'm going to type in my information. Okay, so this is what my TinkerCAD dashboard looks like. Yours will look different. You'll have different designs, or if you haven't done anything, you won't have any designs created yet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to Create New Design. That's this button right here. And that's going to take us to our TinkerCAD workspace. So let's take a look at some of the functions here, okay? The first thing you'll notice is it gives your design a name. We're going to change ours. We're going to call this Snowman Planter. You have your navigation tools over here. You can use this little square here to choose head-on views. You can always click this Home View button to return to the main view. Fit all in view, that's if you have a design, it'll kind of center it on the design there. Zoom in, zoom out, and then this switches to a flat view, so it's like a 2D view. On this side, you have your basic shapes that you can choose from. There are more shapes in here also, but right now we're just going to use our basic shapes. You have your work plane, which we'll be using a little later in this tutorial. For an example of what it does. Put your cylinder down here, and everything here is just drag and drop, okay? So you click, hold, drag it, and let go. And let's say I want to drag something onto the top of my cylinder exactly. What I'll do is I'll take my work plane, I'll drag it to the top of my cylinder, drag my next item to the top of my cylinder, and now you can see it's smushed onto that work plane. So now I can drag my work plane back to my original. And I'm also going to show you the alignment tool. So I'm going to click and drag to select both items. Then I'm going to click this tool up here, Align. And then I'm going to click my cylinder. And now what this is going to do is this is going to align my cone to my cylinder. So I'm going to click these little nodes here to align it. You see, now it's in line perfectly with the cylinder. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to again select them both. And I'm going to click my group button here. And that's going to create one object here. One object out of 2. Now you can also do that with your hole tool. Any shape can be turned into a hole. So let's say I want to take this shape here, and I want to cut kind of an irregular shape, an irregular hole out of this original. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this shape. I'm going to turn it into a hole. I'm going to select it all, and I'm going to group. And now I've cut out that shape from the original. Now let's say you want to kind of undo that. You don't want those shapes to be connected. You click on your object, you click your ungroup button, and now you can move that shape again and change it. The other tool that I'm going to show you is this text tool. If you click here where it says text, you can edit your text, make it say whatever you want, and then you can change this tool the same way you can you can change the shape the same way you can any other shape. You can even turn it into a hole. So, if I make a little shape here, I connect these by grouping. Now, it says hi. And the last tool that I'm going to show you is the scribble tool. Click on that, drag it to your workspace. You can freeform a design of your choosing. You can erase, add back, and then when you click out, You hit done. Again, you can edit this just like you can edit any other shape in TinkerCAD. You can move all of the size dimensions here. Alright, so now that we have some of the basics of TinkerCAD, we're going to work on making a snowman vase. Here we are in TinkerCAD. First thing I'm going to do is hit Edit Grid. Make sure this is inches. Update grid. So we want to work in inches. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to change this to 6 by 6 by 6. And I'm going to take these steps up to make it smoother. Alright, now that I've done that, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to duplicate. To turn that into a hole, and I'm going to make this hole 5 by 5 by 5. And now I'm going to center it up. I'm actually going to put it here at the top because I want some more room in the bottom, some more space in the bottom inside my sphere. So now I'm going to group these. So to flatten the bottom, I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it 8 by 8. Select them both by holding down Shift, click my alignment tool, click the sphere to select it as the thing we're aligning to, and hit both of these nodes so I'm aligning my hole to my sphere. And now I'm going to change this to 0.4, and that's the height. Select it all and group. Okay, and now you can see I have a nice flat bottom. So I'm going to click that and I'm going to click the D button. D is in dog, or in this case drop. It's going to drop it down to the active work plane. Alright, so I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to make an 8 by 8. And now I'm going to align it. So I've selected both by holding down Shift, and then I've clicked Align, and now I've clicked my sphere, and now I'm going to align by clicking both those center nodes there. I'm going to align to my sphere, and now I'm also going to click this top one, and now that aligns it with the top of my sphere. See? Alright, so now that I've got that, I'm actually going to change this to 1/64, and I'm going to just click it up just a touch. And I'm going to change this height to 1.5. Again, let's align it there to this. And let's just move it up just a touch, just in case. And select both by holding down Shift and clicking, and then we're going to click Group. Alright, so now I have a nice top here, and you can see off to the side I have some shapes I've already made, and I've made notes about how big things need to be. I might refer to those, and you might see them in the background. Now we have our sphere. It's time to make the actual pieces of the face. So we're going to start with the eyes. So we're going to move that part of the snowman aside. We're going to take this little half sphere. We're going to pop that right down on our work plane. We're going to change the size to 1.6 by 1.6. Now we're going to click it, and we're going to change this to 90 degrees. Move this up. And we are going to align it to our sphere there. So we're going to click our Align tool, click on our sphere. We're going to center that up. Now we're going to move it a little higher, and we're going to move it a little farther back. And we are going to tilt it back about 10 degrees. And we're going to move it back a little so that it's slightly sunken into the head there. Alright, now we're going to duplicate. And using my arrow key, I'm just going to nudge it apart. Alright, now I'm going to select both of these. Align them to each other first. Side by side. That looks good. So now I'm going to group them. And now I'm going to align that group here to my snowman head. Now I'm going to ungroup them. I'm going to move it about, let's try 15 and see, and then nudge it. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to take 15 degrees, and then nudge it. Now I'm going to select both of these, turn them into holes, still holding down Shift, select my sphere, and click on Group, and see what those eye holes look like. Not quite in enough, not quite round enough. Okay, let's undo. Let's take it back another 5 degrees. There we go, that's nice and round. Now it's time for us to make our nose. So to do that, we're going to grab the cone. And I actually think 1 by 1 by 1 looks almost pretty good, but we're going to make it a little longer. So we're going to go with 0.75. But we're going to keep it 1 inch long. It's going to look super cute, I think. So now that we've done that, what we're going to do is, again, we are going to put this at 90 degrees. Gonna raise that up. Just stay it roughly where we want it. Hold down Shift, select our sphere. Let's align, hit our alignment tool, hit our snowman. We're gonna align it to our snowman. It's pretty good, I think. Take it down a tiny bit more. There we go. And now we want to make sure that it is just a little bit inside our snowman. Let's take this down about, let's just do about 10 degrees rotation. And then again, using the arrow keys, we're just going to nudge it so that it's completely inside our snowman. Once we have that, we're going to duplicate. Let's actually ungroup this real quick. Let's make our eyes a group. And let's center this guy up to the eyes. Okay, it was already centered. That's good. Let's group these. So we have those eye holes again. Now we're going to turn this into a hole. And hold down Shift, select both of these, click group. Good, so now we have a little hole for our nose to fit into, holes for our eyes. It's all looking pretty good. This I'm going to take back 10 degrees. Okay, and now I'm going to take it back 90 and just drop it by hitting the D button onto our work plane. It's going to be another part we're going to print later. It's going to be the nose. To remind myself, I'm just going to make that orange. And I'm going to make this guy white. So now we're going to do the mouth. It's kind of interesting, the mouth. I'm going to do something a little different, a little neat. I'm actually going to open up a new tab on the internet here. I'm going to type in Thingiverse. So Thingiverse.com. Under here in the search Thingiverse box, I'm actually going to type Vine. Hit enter. Full disclosure, I already knew about this. I used this model previously to make a trophy. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go down here to Thing Files. And the only thing I need here is Vines Right. Download that, okay? Now I can close that. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to import it. Choose a file from my downloads, and it's going to be Vines Right. And I'm going to hit import. Might take a little while to import. Let it take its time. Okay, when it imports, it kind of looks like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this as my mouth. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rotate it. So it looks kind of like a smile. How cute is that? I'm going to put a cylinder on top of it. Put my sides up. So what I'm trying to do is kind of get the curve here of this shape. More or less. And we can align these. Okay, once I have that, I'm going to duplicate this. Make it a little bigger so I can see it better, maybe a different color. I'm going to pull that in. Again, following roughly that vine there. Make it a little bigger. Okay, I'm going to make this a hole. Hold down Shift, select both of these, and group. Now I'm going to take a hole, I'm going to put it down here, sink it a little bit, and I'm going to make it large enough to cover everything except just these two leaves. Select it, hold down Shift, select my leaves, and group. So I'm kind of making a mouth here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to pull it down a little bit. I'm going to make it a hole. Select my hole there, hold down Shift, select my leaves, and I'm going to click group. So now what I should have done is made my leaves kind of these two separate objects, if you can see that, that cling real well to this. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make my mouth a little smaller. And I'm going to group those. So now it's one object. I'm going to turn it here 90 degrees. And just like I did with the other pieces, I'm going to pull it over here. And now let's resize it a little bit, okay? If you're enjoying this video and you want more like it, don't forget to like and subscribe, or even leave a comment. I try to answer all comments and questions in a timely manner. You can also give us a shout out on Facebook. It helps us spread the word about all the cool resources and services that the library has to offer. Let's ungroup for a second. Make that a little bigger. Now we can regroup. Now let's hold down Shift and Control. Make this a little smaller. Let's ungroup. What we're going to do is we are just going to nudge this out. Group. And let's lower this about 10 degrees. Let's nudge it. That looks pretty good. That looks super cute, right? Nice little smile. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to ungroup this. We're going to nudge that using our arrow keys, so it's just kind of touching. Let's move that about 10 degrees as well. Let's pull that in a little more. It's going to be a really cute little smile, right? Make it a little bigger. Now that we have that, we're going to take these, we're going to group them, we're going to duplicate and pull that off. So that's a piece we're going to work with in our Prusa slicer. For now we can move it in about 10 degrees, and then after that we did 90, and then drop it. So we're going to use that piece. But this one we're going to turn into a hole. Hold down Shift, select that, and we are going to group. So now this is going to have a hole there that can fit into later on. So we have holes for our eyes, a slot for our nose, and a slot for our mouth here. It's looking really cute so far. Okay, so now it's time to make the eye sockets. So next time, what we're going to do is we are going to add some light up LED rings that you can program with an Arduino. You don't have to do that for this video, for this project, but we're going to be building on this project next time. And so part of doing that is we need to make some little eye sockets to hold the little rings in place. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to click on our snowman and we're going to ungroup him until we get the eyes here. And we're even going to ungroup the eyes. We kind of want them separate for this, okay? So now what we're going to do is we are going to take a cylinder, drag it in, slide the sides all the way up. We're going to make this 0.7 and we're going to duplicate. And now we're going to take our little snowman and we are going to slide him down out of our way for a minute. You know what? Let's actually delete these cylinders. Let's instead drag our work plane here onto one of these. Now drag a new cylinder on. Slide the sides all the way up. Now change it to 0.7. Okay, holding down Shift, select the eye there. Click your Align tool, select the eye again, and center that up. Alright, good. Now we're going to repeat. We're going to drag our work plane here onto the second eye. We're going to drag a cylinder down, drag the sides up, change it to 0.7. Okay, hold down Shift, select our eye, click our alignment tool, click our eye, and now we're going to align. Going to change our work plane back to our regular one. Click on our snowman, hit D to drop it back to its regular height. Now we're going to select our eye, hold down Shift, select our eye, select our nose, select our mouth, select our snowman. We're going to group. Now we see we have these going through a little bit. We don't want that, so we're going to click that. We're just going to use our arrow keys to nudge it. I did 3 little nudges until I don't see it anymore. And now I'm going to click, hold down Shift, click, hold down Shift, click, and I'm going to group. Excellent. So now I have my eye sockets and I have my nose and my mouth. So now it's time to make the hat. So I'm going to move the stuff all aside a little bit so I can work on my hat. And I'm going to grab a cylinder and move it down. This is going to be black, just as a reminder of what color I'm doing it in. Make my sides go way up here. And this is going to be, if I check my notes, how big I made this? 7.5, okay? So 7.5, 7.5. Okay, and this was, I think, 0.4 tall. And I'm going to center that up. So now we're going to take another cylinder and we're going to put that on top. So let's delete that. Let's move our work plane here. Take a cylinder, put that on top. Move our work plane back to its normal one. Move the sides up. Let's see how big this one's supposed to be. 5 by 5 by 3. 5 by 5 by 3. So I'm going to click on my top of the hat here. I'm going to turn it black just so I can see it better. Hold down Shift, click on the bottom of my hat. And I'm going to click my alignment tool, click on the bottom of my hat. And now I'm going to hit these two center nodes here to align my hat. Now we need to make the hole that goes through the middle. So to do that, let me check my notes here. The hole is 4.5 and 4.5 by 6.5. I'm going to duplicate this, raise it up a little, turn it into a hole. And I'm going to do 4.5 by 4.5 by 6.5. And again, I'm just going to hold down Shift here and select the bottom of my hat here. Hold my alignment tool, select the bottom. I'm going to align that right up so it's in the center. Push it down because I want it to go all the way through. Select all of these, holding down Shift, selecting each part, and group. So now I have my hat. It's looking good. Now the next part is I'm going to drag my snowman head right here, and I'm actually going to duplicate it. And I'm going to move my work plane over here on to this rim. Click on my hat. I'm going to hit the D button to pull it up to that work plane. Now I'm going to click on my hat, hold down Shift, click on my snowman. I'm going to hold the alignment, click the alignment tool, click on the snowman again, and hit these center nodes here to line up my hat on my snowman. And now I'm going to click on my hat and I'm going to sink it just a little bit. Tiniest bit. There, so it's just a little in there. So the reason, you'll see in a minute, I'm going to turn my whole snowman into a hole. Hold down Shift, select both of these, and I'm going to click Group. Move my work plane back to normal, and if I flip this around 180 degrees, you'll see that I now have this little channel in here. See that little channel right in there? That is where my snowman is going to fit. So it's going to snap into place. So I'm going to move that back to 180. Hit D to drop that down to the bottom. So now I have my hat, my snowman, my mouth, and my nose. Okay, these next steps are optional. We need to add some drainage holes down here because this is a planter. So if you're going to be using yours as a planter, you are going to also want to add some drainage holes. So we're just going to take a cylinder. We're going to make it pretty small. So let's do 0.2. And what we're going to do is we are going to make it, let's make it pretty tall there. And let's duplicate. So we want 4 of them. And now let's align these to something just so we can align it nice and smoothly. So let's take a 1 inch. What is a 1 inch? Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So I'm going to roughly put those where I want them. Click on one of these. Click Align. Click that. Now we're going to align it to that. And repeat. Now when we pull that away, these should be nice and aligned. So I'm going to click on these. I'm not going to turn them into holes right now. Actually, I'm going to make them solid just so we can see them, and I'm going to change them into a group. And now I'm going to center align this to my snowman. I'm going to make these nice and tall, then I'm going to sink them in. So I want them to go all the way through. And I'm going to ungroup them, and I think I can actually push them a little further apart. So I'm just going to nudge them using my arrow keys. And I'm going to make sure that they go all the way through. And they do. Okay, so now I'm going to click on them, holding down Shift, click on each one, hit Group. And I'm going to turn that into a hole, hold down Shift, click my snowman, and Group. Alright, so now I have those drainage holes. That's useful for a planter. And another option here is to actually add Since this is a planter and there might be drainage, let's say you don't want to have any drainage on your counter or something, it's actually to add a little plate to the bottom to do some collection. So what we're going to do here is we are just going to take a half sphere and we're going to turn it around to 180. Okay, and this is 6 by 6, so we are going to make this about 6.25 by 6.25. And we're going to make it a little taller. Let's do about 0.75 inches tall. So it's going to be pretty shallow. Now we're going to duplicate that. And this is going to be a hole. So we're going to make this even smaller. So instead of 6.25, we're going to make this 6. Okay, and then instead of 0.75, we're going to make it let's do 0.5. Going to make that a hole. And now we're going to align to the top there. Pull it up just a little bit. Select both and group. So that gives us like a little collection plate there. So now you can see that's going to sit right there. So if we align these, and you lift that up a little bit, you can see it's going to sit on there. So it can collect any little drainage, and we're going to make that white as well. So that is optional. If it's going to be outside, you don't really need that, but if it's going to be inside on a countertop or something, you might actually want that. Now another option also is if you are going to add the electronics, you're going to want to add a hole for that. So you're going to want a tube so that your cord has somewhere to go. So to do that, we're going to take a little cylinder, and 1 by 1 should be big enough. Gonna make that 90 degrees. Gonna make it kind of long. Hold down Shift and select our snowman. Select our alignment tool. Select our snowman again. Let's align it here to the center of our snowman. Basically, you want a channel here to feed the electronics through. So what we can do now is we can actually take that down about, let's do an angle of about 30 degrees. And now let's lower this. Your electronics will come in through there. So now we're going to hold down Shift, select our snowman in our hole, click Group. And now there's a hole in the back for the electronics to go through. There's actually one more option here. Let's say you're not going to add electronics to the inside. You don't want to have light up eyes. What we're going to do is instead we're going to do some little coal eyes. So we're going to take this diamond tool. We're going to drag that down. We don't want this part. We just want the top. So we are going to take, well, actually, let's resize it first. Remember we made the eyes 1.6, I think it was. So let's change these to 1.5. Now we're going to take our hole here to box. Going to make that 1.6. I'm sure you can see what we're doing. Going to drop that. So let's align these. Let's raise this right to the point where it starts to raise. And let's actually lift this a little. Hold down Shift, let's group, change that to black. Once we're sure that looks cute, and I think it does, looks like two cute little eyes of coal there. I'm just going to duplicate. So you're going to have another one that has eyes, and those you're going to print with your hat, because it's going to be black like your hat, okay? So these are all parts that we're going to print. We're going to print them separately. We're going to print our snowman in white, our hat in black, our nose in orange, and our mouth in brown, like a wood filament. And then you're just going to export that, probably to your downloads, as an STL. Okay, and we are done with the TinkerCAD portion of designing this snowman vase. Alright, so if you are printing this on your own 3D printer, you can go ahead and use your own software, your own settings, just print it as you usually would. If you are sending this to the tech center, what you're going to do is go ahead and go into your email account, you're going to send the STL file as an attachment, and then in the body of the email, you're going to put down the color preference that you have. So say I want the hat to be in black, I want the snowman to be in white, I want the nose to be in orange. And then what happens is, well, you send that to techcenter@lanepl.org first of all, and when we get it, we put it at the end of our print queue. So imagine standing in a virtual line, and it's first come, first served, so yours automatically goes at the end, and we will email you when it is finished. If you're located near Hamilton, Ohio, and you'd like to learn more about how to design and print a project of your own, or you'd like to attend any of our in-person tech classes, give us a call at 513-785-2727 or email us at techcenter@lanepl.org. For our hours and location information, check out our website at www.lanepl.org.